Hi, and welcome to the first episode of Kickdown Garage. Now, out in YouTube land, there are a lot of content makers that do revivals and rescues and different things like that, and those shows were great, and or are great, and I love watching them. But that's what got me thinking of doing this channel. And with this channel, what I focus on, what do you do with the car once you get it home, after the revival happens and the rescue and you do the drive home and the car is up and running? What do you do with it to bring it to that next level, to make it more of a show quality car, a more dependable driver, a vehicle that's just not going to make it back to your house and then just sit there? What I want to do is show the average enthusiast, such as myself, because I'm not a professional auto body guy or a mechanic. I've just been doing this um, type of work and everything like that on the side for probably pretty close to 25 years or so. And I want to show you guys that it you don't need to be, a master mechanic or a top-notch auto body guy or anything like that to make your car more presentable, more roadworthy, and being able to do it with basic tools, inexpensive equipment. Don't need a $25,000 you know list of tools or anything like that. Just your basic stuff. Something that a person that has a 40 an hour a week job and doesn't have all the time in the world with other obligations, that this stuff can be done, you know, in your home during the evening or on weekends, but basically to go and get that car out on the road and keep it from sitting there in storage or hiding, or they're made to be driven, they're made to be shown. Be proud of what you have. So that's what I'm going to focus on. And along those lines, I also am going to go and do other videos on other things other than cars and basic maintenance stuff on different things, but that's for a different day. So the first one that we're going to be looking at is the mean green machine we dubbed Envy, right behind me. And what it is a 73 Chevelle Laguna. So picked this car up a little bit over a year ago. Just did your basic stuff last year, new tires, stuff like that. And I just drove it, enjoyed it, had fun. There's a few other mechanical issues that the car had when I bought it, so I did those, got those going, and just took the summer and enjoyed it. And then over winter I started working on it and getting into more of the uh, a little bit, not, I wouldn't say major, but more of the priority stuff to get done. So worked on that, but what I call this is a rolling restoration, because I want to go and have it rolling down the road, and while I'm doing the restoration, so I can go and enjoy it in the meantime. I don't want it sitting there taking up a garage stall and just sitting there for 2 or 3 years. And when I say restoration, I don't mean a cinema show or a Pebble Beach level restoration, but to make it a very nice driver quality car. Make it very presentable to bring to car shows, and maybe win an award or something like that at the local car shows. And but just to have something that I'm proud of, and something that um, you know I've done the work too. And along with that, the work that I'm doing to it is work that anybody with a little bit of mechanical skills can do. And I'm just going to bring you guys along for the ride and show you what I've done. And also, uh, when you buy these cars, make sure you're buying a car that's in your capabilities of repairing and fixing. Don't buy something that's just totally rotted out, especially if you don't have the space or the time or the equipment to do it. It's better to pay a little bit more up front and get, a higher quality car, and then to buy one, trying to save some money, and then there it sits and it never gets completed. So you want to make sure, you're working within your means and doing the stuff like that. So let me bring you around. Now, a lot of the stuff I did on this car, I already did. And we're going to be kind of working in reverse. So I'm going to just give you a tour of the vehicle, and then, stay tuned. Probably be in another video of the process that I went through to, and the different, projects on the car. And plus, there's more to be, more that needs to be done, and I'll, you know, upload more videos of that stuff as I do it too. Because again, like I said, it's a rolling restoration. I did this stuff over winter that needed to get done while I couldn't drive the car, and now that I can, it's just going to be those little things throughout the summer that I'm going to be working on. So, with that being said, let's go around and I'll show you what I did, or what's done, and then I'll show you what I did. Okay, you guys are going to have to bear with me. I don't have the fanciest video equipment. I'm just using an old iPhone for everything, so, this is what you're going to have to deal with. So, well, first off, like I said, this is a 1973 Chevelle Laguna. With Laguna, you got the different schnoz up front, which is like the urethane, kind of like the GTOs had. And in 73, the Laguna was the supposedly top of the line model. Now, this one in particular is actually a Copel ordered car. So if you guys know what that is, a lot of the Yankos and then the Nicky Chevrolets were that, and usually they got the big motor and a few different, go fast products on them. Well, this has none of that. Basically, the Copel, the central office production order that was done on this car was the half vinyl roof. So normally, if you would have ordered the RPO code, you would have got the full vinyl roof. Well, this one just got the half. That's about it. Other than the Laguna package, this is basically a stripped down car. So with the Laguna, you got the standard 350 two-barrel, and the other thing is the deluxe material on the seat. But that's about it. Now, what I've already done on this car is a lot of this was pretty rusty. Went in and sanded a lot of it down, took a lot of nuts and bolts off one at a time, and bathed them in evaporust. And that just eats away all the rust, and then I just refinished them with, the appropriate finish, paint. Took it over to the paint booth and, did it the old El Cheapo way, and that's what I'm going to be focused on. That you can make these cars look nice without having, expensive and time-consuming stuff. You can do it with aerosol paint, and I mean even like the air cleaner, couldn't get it the quite sheen that I wanted it to when I was matching it up. So just do a little sanding and polishing, and just with rubbing compound, bring it to the level that you want. The firewall, I was able to match up really well with paint. Once I removed the brake booster, I had the original paint behind that, and I was able to match it up, and same with this, the rails here, and then I just finished them, everything, like, like even like this stuff to help prevent it from rusting again. I just do a clear coat over them. So, but there we go. Excuse me. Interior was totally pulled out. Did a patch over there on the floorboard. Like I said, the seats were pulled out, the frames were cleaned up. Back seat, top along there was starting to deteriorate from 50 years of sun beating down on it. So that's the only thing that I had done. I brought that over to an upholstery shop and had them cap it. Some of the models throughout these years did have a cap on it, so I had them match that up so it looked factory appropriate. And what I like doing when I do these cars is doing them so they look like how they were when they were brand new. I don't like all the chrome on it or any modifications. I like to see how they were when they were new, when they were on the dealer lot. All these cars are, quite a few years older than me, so I never was able to experience them when they were new. So that's how I like, doing my restorations. Now, also though, I do modify certain things a little bit, such as the radio, because guys gotta have tunes when they're going down the road, and he wants them to come in well. So this car came with an AM radio. I put an AM FM in it, but then I also bought a new radio, or I bought another radio that's identical to that one, and I shipped it to a guy out on the East Coast that goes and guts them and puts all new electronics on them, Bluetooth in it. So I'm just waiting for that one to come back, and once I get that one back, I'll do a video on that. Because then once that comes in, I have to order a new wire harness for it, and I already got new speakers in the back, and I'll show you what I did with those to make those look, factory appropriate inside the trunk. Like I said, I got new molding for around here, but these windows seal up so well. I hate to go and actually tear them off. They're deteriorated a little bit here, so I just used some black RTV in there to help hold them together. One of the things I'll be working on are the doors. I did do pinstriping on the vehicle when I got it, just to help break it up a little bit. First time ever doing pinstriping. Otherwise, everything is how it should be. Now, this car was painted once before, and that's because they did a new quarter on this side at one point, where it must have been involved in an accident. You can kind of see a little bit of, not sure if that's filler or just kind of a bad weld in there, but it's kind of weird because when they painted the car, I don't know if it'll come up, but they painted it, but they didn't do the trunk lid. So there's a little bit of, age showing here, so I'm going to do some paint correction on that. Going over to the passenger side, pretty much about the same. I'll come in here. Let's see. I don't know if it'll show, but I did a little, did a patch right in here to clean some rust up. Had to go around the wheel wells. The tabs that, tabs that hold the inner fender wells in were rusted out, so I'm going to weld the new tabs in. And like I said, try to do it on the cheap to show you guys that I can, it doesn't cost a whole lot of money, but I tried to do it with flux core and just kept blowing through. So I ended up going out and actually buying a Hobart welder, and I was able to turn that one down a little bit more, and was able to do it that way. And I'll show you the process in the video coming later. A few other things when I had it apart, repacked the wheel bearings. Kind of neat. Still had some of the, pretty sure these were assembly line markings. It says 5 there, and then I believe somewhere on the firewall back there, it was like 93 or something like that it said. So wanted to make sure when I cleaned it up, I left those. New hood insulation, and a lot of different things. So there we have it. Like I said, stuff that I just did over winter, and now some of the stuff here in the spring. But it was everything that I could do in the garage here. Developed a fuel leak after the first time I took it out, so that's why it's up on my wonderful lift. Now, can't afford a lift, so went and bought these jack stands at Northern Tool, and they are wonderful. They're not even close to being all the way up, and the car is, I don't know if you can get to see, but how tall it already is here. Makes it very nice to get underneath. Got my expensive creeper that I ordered. Nice piece of cardboard, makes it easy to slide in and out. But there we go. Okay, moving on here, we got the panel made up, and
drop in there. So what I'm gonna do is pack in a few spots to get it seated in there, and then working in the rest of the way. So I hear the welder running behind me, and we're gonna be ready to go here. So I'll have you guys come on back when I have the first few spot welds in place, and let you see how that goes. Hopefully this goes a lot better than the flux core welder. And like I said, this is the first time. This is a Hobart 140 welder. Actually, I just purchased it, so it's the first time I'm using it really on this project, besides a few small test welds. This will be the first test for it, so hopefully it goes well. All right, well, I got the patch made up, got put into place here. Not the best welding job that I've ever done, but the problem is this, it's so thin and it's a little bit rustier. I probably should have went a little bit bigger and it would have been fine, but actually, I guess that might not look the best, but it does the job. I am going to put some seam sealer around here, and then the Dynamat and the carpet goes over it anyway, so you're not going to see it. So it'll be good enough, but yeah, a little problem right in that area. Wanted to blow a little bit more holes through it, but then it filled up and shined the light from the bottom, and there's no light shining through, so everything's sealed up. But just to kind of smooth it out, I'll use the seam sealer since I already got it, might as well. So, but there's that. But it's late, and I'm gonna call it a night. Get back to it tomorrow. Okay, now I'm gonna make a patch for the front fender. A little bit of rust right in that area right here, but you know what? Trim piece goes over that, so you're not going to see it, so I'm not going to worry about that. It is real thin around here, but again, kind of unnecessary, but this part you do see. So I put that upside down. Made a piece that will go right in here. Went and bent it so it curves with the flow of the rest of the fender. You do see that part on the bottom. The trim goes down to right about that area right there. Well, you can see it right in here. So get that welded in. What I'm going to do also is that'll be butt welded in, and then on the bottom of this, I'm going to drill a couple little holes through so I can do a plug weld into the bottom of the inner structure of the fender, because see where that moves, where it was welded in at one point. But yeah, she's pretty thin all through here. So like I said, that new piece that I have for here will cover that all up, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. But this part you do see, so I want to fix that, and then I'll sand all this down. I will put some paint over here to protect it, make that smooth, and then what the eye can see, it will look really good. And I'll have to go around, clean up the inside. Then I'll go around and clean up the inside lip in there. We'll paint that, make that look nice. Even though it's not, even though you won't see it, but we'll know that part looks nice. But pretty much to try to help prevent any more rust, because there is a little bit of movement always in there when two things are rubbing together. So, but we'll get that stuff done, and then we'll move on to the next project. Okay, I just wanted to get you guys in here to show you what I got done. Like I said, I had to do those patches at the very bottom. You can see the weld in here. But luckily for me, that trim is going to cover up a lot of it, or it's going to be right up alongside the trim. So, and again, nobody's going to be on the ground covering it up, or looking at it. But this way, at least it's nice and strong and not missing anything in there. And if you look real close, you can see where the plug welds were that I put through. So it's butt welded, and then a couple plug welds. So that's gonna be nice and good. And then I got new trim. Actually, I found new old stock stuff that will go in there. And then same thing. This is all rust inhibitor that I used. All in here, you can see. Again, not the greatest welds, but it will do the job. Once the inner fender well goes in, it will cover all that up. Let's see. And then all along the lip here where there was any rust, I went and sprayed that rust inhibitor, and then I'll go back through and I'm just going to use actually probably just a brush, and I got green paint that matches, just to put that another layer of paint over it for protection, and then get it the correct color, and then the chrome trim will go over all of this to cover it up anyway. So yeah, so that's what we got going on. So tomorrow or later tonight, once it dries up, I will come back through and I'll spray undercoating in all the areas that I won't be able to get to once the fender wells are on, and then that will sit and dry for a couple of days, and then the reassembly will start. So I'm hoping by the end of the week it will be going back down the road. Then I can start slowly working my way back and detailing the underbody and getting everything cleaned up. And the biggest thing I think I'm going to work on after is the paint correction on here. It's kind of rough, and this car has been repainted, but for some reason I don't think they painted the trunk lid. So this is a clear coat, and this doesn't appear it has a clear coat on it. So I'm gonna sand this down smooth with probably like a 1500 or 2000 grit, and then go through and do some kind of maybe a clear coat over it or something. I'm not sure what I'm gonna actually do to fix where the paint's missing, if I'm gonna try to touchen that up somewhat, but there's just so much of it. So I might just try to get it smooth and then do a one of those like liquid clear coats that you don't have to spray on or anything, you just wipe on. So we'll see how that turns out. But that's the interior. And again, I'm super impressed with the $3 bottle of liquid carpet dye. That saved me a lot of money and trimming time. But okay, well, until we get to the next step, you guys take it easy. Okay, well, there's the plate that I cut out. Turned out really well. I'll go and show you guys where exactly it's going. That will go right into here. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a kind of like a cut right there where I'll line her up to, and then you can almost hear it snap into place right where it needs to be.
So that will sit right there. What I did is I left a little bit of a lip right along here for this to sit on. Lap weld it in there. Be a little bit stronger than a butt weld, I believe, and then just because it's a little bit more structured, because there'll be a fender brace coming up, going up to, I believe, somewhere in here, and then I have to drill a hole through that one, and a couple more for when the fender well will sit down on top of that. Once we're done with that, I'll get this area cleaned up. So it'll match the rest of the frame here. You can see that I got that cleaned up. That's painted. That's just rattle can. What I did is I used, once I got it all ground down, sanded down to the bare metal, I used a rust inhibitor. Then I used a filler primer, block sanded a lot of it. Didn't get it perfect, but I got it a lot more smoother than what it used to be. And then I used that, I think it's like a satin black paint. I'll have to look into it and see which one I used, but it turned out really well. It's got the finish that I was looking for. I like to go a little bit shinier with the frame just because I believe it's a little bit more stronger, and then the water doesn't want to retain versus a flatter color. And besides, it will slightly dull once it gets dirtier and sees the road grime. And most of it's actually going to be covered up by a fender well anyway, so all in here. But turned out really well. Other side looks the same, and then same with that. The other side is the same as that one. Now we'll go and get the welder fired up, get those welded in. Then I can go and get this stuff cleaned up, painted, and get a little bit of painting in there. Since I got the fender welds off, I don't know if you can see in there, but getting some of that cleaned up, and then a rust inhibitor sprayed on that, and then I'm going to undercoat it actually while everything's off. Let that sit for a few days, and then be able to get everything else back together. And hopefully by the end of the week here, it'll be back on the road. Better than before. Also got a little bit of trim work to do around here. I'll show you guys what I'm doing with that, because I have new trim, but it's not exactly the correct trim. It is for a Chevelle, but I'll get into that once I get to that point. Maybe you guys can help me understand something on that too. Okay, here we go. Okay, well, here we got the finished product. You guys can see here. That's the plate that I welded in. Filled it in here. Not the prettiest weld, but I'll grind it down just a little bit, kind of smooth it out. But it's in there. Firm. So now, going from underneath here, I'll drill a hole through here. And once I get the fender welds in, I'll get a few more in here. Now, I don't know if you guys can see, but right here, got a little bit more rot, but not going to really worry about that. Once I get that in, the battery tray in, and then the inner fender well, the battery tray, the battery, you're not going to see any of that, but I will clean up. Got the body mount loose. I will clean up that. Not sure if I'm going to put new body mounts in it right now, or if I'm just going to get it all cleaned up and then just ready to drive. So weather's getting nice, and I really want to get this car out. Okay, so we got that. But as of now, all the metal work that I am doing at this time is completed. So once I get this stuff drilled, and cleaned up, I'm gonna paint everything so it'll look good and let that sit. Let's get down below here and see if we can get in there. But ran some filler weld down below too to get in between the two panels. There's a little bit of a gap. Wanted to get a little stronger weld in there, and hopefully one less spot for moisture to get up. So not sure if I'll use like even a seam sealer in there just to kind of get it sealed up or what, but we'll figure that out later. But alright, well, that's going to be it for today, and we'll get back at it a little bit later. Pouring rain now. Had to come in from outside doing a lot of the work, which I like doing this stuff outside just because the lighting's better, everything's so much brighter to see. When I'm shooting sparks and everything, I'm not getting it on the other cars over here, so I'd rather just do it out there, but hasn't been really a cooperative spring yet. Okay, guys. Well, that's going to be it for today. And again, any comments, put below. And hopefully we'll hear from some of you guys. Thanks. Bye.
Not sure if you guys can tell, but somewhere like right there is the tape lines from when this car was painted at some point, and it looks like they taped around all the emblems and the trim. So what I'm going to try to do is wet sand these areas so they're a little smoother, and there's a little bit of rust spots kind of all over, and I'm going to try to touch those up well. It's a little easier and everything's exposed, and try to prevent any more rusting. But I got it's a little hard to see, but I got the inner wells painted, or the inner lip on the fender well. See it down in there. And I did 2 coats in there, and it turned out pretty good. It would be good enough for, you know, being covered up and hidden behind everything. So we're gonna keep working here. I did the other side. The other side turned out really well. I'm gonna run a buffer across there with some polish before I put the emblems back on. Might need to put a little bit of paint in here to help smooth it out. Then I'll wet sand it again. And again, when I paint it, it's just gonna be with the brush. And then I'll wet sand it after that, and then the emblems will be able to go back on. Okay, now I'm just gonna touch it up, and apparently my bucket of water that I had has a hole in it, but just using a little piece of foam brush that I cut off of the big brush so it would fit into the can here. Just go around, and if you really want to be a stickler on this, I'm sure you could go and, you know, prime it and do all that stuff, but I'm just gonna go right over everything, or right over the bare metal. Again, the car doesn't get driven in the winter or anything, and see the elements as much as it used to when it was new. Trivia question for you guys. This generation of A body that GM put out was originally supposed to be available for what model year? See if any of you history guys buffs know this. Don't be going on the Google machine and looking it up either. See if you know off the top of your head. Drop it down in the comments below and let me know what you think. So, just a lot of little areas here, and like I said, once this dries and I'm all done, I'm just gonna run I'm gonna wet sand it again and just kind of smooth it out and blend it in a little bit better. So I'm trying to put it on a little thick and even, so it'll make it a little bit easier when I go and sand it. Also, with doing this, I'm kind of going in to where it wasn't painted before, which would be just the single stage paint, because this has clear coat over it. And that will help build it up to the same height, which then I'll sand down. Looks a little darker here. Some of you professional auto body people are probably cringing, but again, we're doing this on a budget. Doing this how anybody else could do it at home. And the other thing is, I don't want to spray inside the garage here. It's so much work. Blocking everything off, taping it off for such a small area. And I want to show you guys that you don't need all this fancy equipment to make your cars look better. Just gonna go around the holes here that the emblems go through and add a little bit of protective layer in there, but a little bit of run there, so get that. There we go. It's running here. Catch it. There, I think that should be good enough. I'll let that dry and go through and blend it in. A little bit right in there. Same with right in here. And this part's all behind the, I don't know, fender spear, the door guard, whatever you guys want to call it. But just get that little bit of extra layer, so layer of protection. There. And that's simple as that. I'll go over and look at the other side and do that one, and then once this is dry, we'll come back, follow the procedure of wet sanding it. Just gonna do 2,000 grit so I don't get too crazy and carried away with everything, and hopefully it will turn out really well. Just a little bit more around these holes in the fender here. There. I think that will be good enough. So, anyway, answer to the trivia question is, originally these cars are supposed to debut in '72 with the colonnade body style, but due to Chevrolet's strike at the Camaro plant in Norwood, and shut down with labor negotiations, everything got postponed a year. So this will be the third generation Chevelle, second generation Monte Carlos, same with Cutlasses and whatever generations they were, and other GM products. So '72 was supposed to be the debut year, so that's why a lot of the models didn't change a whole lot between '71 and '72, because basically they were just kind of like carryovers. Very little changes were done between the Chevelles and the Monte Carlos, and I'm sure with the other ones too. Simple changes, like turn signals and little things like that. Alright, now it's been a few days since I've painted and touched up on the body here, and you can kind of see where it's a little bit lighter, or a little bit darker and a little bit lighter around this area, but it's real smooth. Now I'm going to go and take the wet sandpaper again and go over everything again and try to help blend this in a little bit, and then once I'm done, I am going to go and take my buffing compound and try to buff everything up and shine her back up, so it should look pretty good.
At least that's what I'm hoping for. Actually, just gonna put a rag here on the ground. Before, when I was doing this, you guys probably saw me holding a rag here. The only reason why I was doing that is trying to stop some of the water from running down and making a mess. So we'll just put that on the ground to try to catch anything. It'll save me a little bit of work later on. And then we'll just go over everything here and trying to get everything pretty wet here at the beginning. Help glide. Now, I've heard some people add a little bit of soap with the water to help glide over the paint when they do this, but I've never done it. I've always just used water. Tell me what you guys think. What do you guys do to make this go a little easier to help any of the other people watching out there out? Throw your experiences in the comments. Now this small standing block, I believe I just got it at O'Reilly's, and it comes with a whole bunch of pieces, different grits, I think 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and then it just Velcros on, and it actually works pretty nice for small areas here. Now down below where I painted, since that's going to be under the trim, I'm not even going to worry about sanding any of that. I'm going to try to keep that a little bit thicker down there, and it'll be a little tougher being behind the trim, and when the grime and dirt get stuck behind that trim, it never gets washed out. It should hold up a little bit better. Towel I put down here, not doing anything, making a mess all over the place. At least it's just water. Again, a lot of this stuff is going to be behind the trim, so I'm not going to be overly worried about it. And it's behind the emblem to a degree. But since everything's off, try to do it now. It's not going to happen later. The goal is to hopefully get all this stuff done and finally be able to fire the car up for the first time this year today. Get it out on the road, and just as the title of the show is, kick her down. Okay, right now we are working on the inner fender wells. Got these cleaned up pretty good to repair. I'm going around with the Permatex black plastic welder. That stuff. Now, what I'll do is I'll put a piece of tape on the front side here, just so it'll be smooth, nice smooth finish. And then fill it from the back side here. Gotta do a little
Looks like just one down there. It's not as bad as I thought I had them. So we'll get those set up and then get those glued, and hopefully it'll be almost as good as new. Okay, this one here is busted out quite a big area compared to, you know, that's how it's supposed to be. So what I am gonna do with this one is fill the whole thing in and smooth it over, and then come around later and drill out the hole wherever it needs to be, because I'm not sure if it's supposed to be on this side or that side, and I know whichever one I pick is gonna be wrong. So I'll fill it all in, measure it on the other fender well, and then I'll just drill it out later, and I think it'll end up being a little bit stronger that way too. While that sets up, I wanted to give you guys a pointer. When you order new retaining clips to hold the fender wells in, make sure you measure the old ones and you order the right ones. From what I found, there are 2 different sizes, and I found that out, of course, because I ordered the wrong one. For this one, we needed the short one. These are about 1 inch, and I think these are listed at 1.25 inches. So hopefully it'll save you guys some time and money, and don't make a mistake like I did. Okay, as you guys can see, you got the emblems and the trim back on. Also went ahead and got the inner fender well in, the wheel well here. Threw a few bolts in, they're not tight yet, but got those in just to get everything into place, because now I have to go around and see my beautiful weld here, but go around and drill through the new tabs I put in. I'd make a hole in there, and then probably pull this loose again to get the fasteners in behind here, and then it should be ready to go. Like I said, the welds are not the best, but they'll work. And then once the chrome trim comes on here, or the stainless or aluminum or whatever it might be, will go on. Should be something like this, and cover it all up. So it will be good enough. Yeah, but there it is. There's everything, and it turned out pretty good. This is one of the areas that I had used a plastic epoxy in and get that fixed, and went and ground that down, drilled it out, and then now I'll just go right through there and drill, because no matter, I tried tracing everything off and off the other side and then on the passenger side, and then tried to get everything to work, but no matter what, I'm sure I'd be off wherever they need to be. So I figured I'd get the wheel well in and then drill everything. So yeah, this should look good. Trying to at least get the driver's side done here. Once that's completely 100% done, then I'll move over to the passenger side. Alright, it might be a little hard to see, but I wanted to get you guys in here and show you what I'm doing. I am putting the, when I can find them, bolts in around the wheel well here. And what I did, because when I pulled this apart, I found out that somebody must have had these apart before and lost a lot of the hardware, because everything was kind of mixed and matched. So went and bought the new hardware kit, and just getting that in just to have everything a little bit more uniform, and then easier when I go to replace it, because I don't, or if I need to ever remove this stuff again, everything's the same size, and it's a lot easier instead of having to try to find all these different size sockets and everything. So, and mostly it's the right way to do it, and the original hardware is nothing to be bragging about anymore, and it looks better. So ordered this kit off eBay and just did the old search with, you know, lowest price first, and then just try to find the correct hardware. I'll show you this here since I got them here. Now, see if they'll show up, but that's the two different sizes, as you can see. And when you put them in, bolt holes don't line up. So make sure you get the right one. Learn from my mistake and do it right the first time and save some money. There are different ones here. Okay. Some of the hardware is the old hardware and some of it's new, so it's just a hair different, but just trying to get all the same stuff in the same spots. So at least all this style fasteners will be the same, and then these will be all the same. There's just a couple more, and you put them in, don't tighten them down all the way, so there'll be some flexibility to get these other ones in. And then when you're all done, crank her down. This one moved a little bit. There. Got all these in. Let's go grab some wrenches or some ratchets, and a ratchet and some sockets, and we'll get it tightened down. And I'd say it's looking pretty good. Better than before. Not as good as new, but better than before. Okay, we'll get back in. Get this stuff done, and then I'll get you guys back in here and show you everything, and we'll go to under the hood. A few more holes to drill up in the front part and fender brackets to get in, and this side will be done. My creeper out of the way. Okay. And slowly. And there we go. Finally on its own four wheels for quite, it's been a while. I think I got everything hooked up that I need to. Now, I am far from done with this car. A couple of things I missed that I noticed once I got it back together. So I'll have to do that. As for the heat riser, that one beat me. I'm gonna admit it. I couldn't do it. There's 4 pins that need to be put in, and I only could get to 2 of them. To get to the other 2, I have to pull the manifold off, and that's something I am not gonna do right now, just because, hey, I only drive the car during the summer, and the exhaust don't leak, so I'm just gonna leave it. If I ever have to pull the exhaust manifold off, then I'll do it the right way then and put everything on. But I'll just throw the parts in a box and label it, and then I have them. While I had the car up, I didn't show you guys this, but went and reinstalled the front steering, changed oil, did all that stuff. Coming up, I'll have to drain the transmission, and some work I want to do on that, and I'll show you guys what I'm going to do on that with the module on the transmission and a few other things there. But as of now, I think I got it together enough to drive it, so gonna finish cleaning up just a little bit, get some of this stuff out of the way, and then clean up myself because I don't like to get into a clean car all filthy. And we'll fire it up for the first time since last October, so it's almost June now, so it's been a few months. Once I get started up, we'll go for a ride. Get up on the highway. Okay, before we get going here, I am going to just give you guys a walk around of the car. J. Klein Chevrolet. Had those. But again, like I said, for future videos, I'm going to do a paint correction on the trunk lid here. When they painted it, when this corner was replaced, looks like it was in an accident. They painted everything, this is clear coat, but they didn't do anything with that. So I'm going to correct that. So I got the emblems on, the trim down below. Still need to do the wheel well trim. Filthy hood, filthy everywhere. Get it out and get it washed. Sides the same way. Trim on, all that, rust fixed down below that. Now, it's having a problem with the doors shutting, not wanting to shut right. So on here, they were missing little plastic bushing. So for temporary, I wrapped electrical tape around there, and to see if that was the issue. And nice and solid. Get that just right. Right. Not even gonna be close. And we're back here to the rear of the car. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited to take this out for a spin. And once again, sorry for the noise the neighbors mowing. Once again, there's still a bit left to do on the car, but enough of it is done so I can drive it. And I can keep driving it and then keep working on the little bit that I need to do in my spare time, but enjoy the car in the meantime. So right now I'm going to go and take it for a spin, check everything out, and then get ready to wash it. Still need to get the hubcaps on up there, but wasn't sure if the wheels had to come off again, and don't want to go through the work to put the hubcaps on and take them right back off. So, okay, well, let's jump in and fire it up. Here's the old electrical tape. Didn't do this side yet. Let's see how this side shuts without it. Not too bad. The other side is horrible. Windshield's filthy, but as expected. Here are the bushings for the doors. Just pick those up at O'Reilly's. Okay. Here we go. Find out where I put the keys. I only got 2 pockets, and it'll be the 3rd pocket I check. Okay. Let's see. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thing that's neat. Parking brake light. Never worked before. Come on. There we go. Huh? Almost empty on fuel. Oh, she died. Just gonna try to hurry up and get it out of the garage here. You know what? Feels like there's a vacuum line unhooked, so I'm gonna go look at that and see what's happening.
Okay, round 2. There we go. Once the belt stops squealing, it's a lot smoother now, and it wants to keep running. Once I get it warmed up, it'll run a lot better too. But I'm gonna go down and get some gas in it since it's almost empty. There was a vacuum line disconnected at one of the T's by the carburetor, so that's why it was running so rough when I first started it up. But still running a little rough. I'm gonna go check out one thing. I know I pulled the spark plug wires off. Not sure if I put them back on. Let's go take a look. Okay, well, 3rd time's the charm. Let it warm up here for a little bit. Did not see anything loose underneath. It might just need to be run. Oh, that's annoying. Well, here we go. Something's definitely missing. Shoe popping here and there. Alright, well, just gonna go here and run it and see what happens. Go down and get some fuel and run it back home. It'll be a couple mile trip. Then we'll come back with you guys and let you know what went on. 8th time's the charm. Now it's smooth. So the issue was I had the firing order off. Oh, sorry, dropped the mic. Had the firing order off, so that's why it was running so rough. So let's do this again. I mean, it's night and day different right now. Backfiring, I mean, totally smooth. There's the new rig right there. And by new, I mean 20 years old. But it's the newest one I got. You can just hear how much happier the engine is. now that it's firing correctly. See how filthy the hood is too. After I killed the camera, I didn't think I was going to make it home. The car stalled and fired it up, and as soon as I gave it any throttle or there was any load on the car, it stalled again. So I had to nurse it home pretty easily, and as you can see, I made it home and checked out the firing order for some reason why that popped in my head, but just the way it seemed, because I mean everything else, and when I put the car away, it ran great. So there's not much. So I don't know. Must have just not paid attention when I put the wires back on and when I pulled them off. But oh yeah, it's smooth now. When I was under the hood, it kind of sounded like the alternator was making a little bit of noise, but until that gives me any issues, it's charging and seems to be running fine.
Well, as you can see, it's nighttime, and we are just cruising around in the Chevelle, and everything seems to be going okay. A lot better than when I first started, and I had the firing order off. So what I ended up doing is when I pulled the plug wires off, put them back on the wrong plug. So usually when I run plug wires, I kind of run them through the looms and the holders or whatever, so they go in order. So it's just for easier reference, and just out of habit, that's how I put them back on. And I'm not the one that originally put the wires on. And well, the person that did it doesn't do it the same way I do it, so it's something that, my fault. I should have double checked. But everything's okay now. Just cruising along at about 50 miles an hour. Trying to adjust the headlights a little bit, but seem to be working okay. These are some super halogen ones that I got at Napa. Seem to be okay. I do have a set of Wagner's, some kind of super halogen something or another in my other car, and kind of like those a little bit better, but they're pretty close. Just gonna keep cruising here and just kind of enjoy the night. Kind of a nice cooler evening, and not too busy all on the road, so nobody right behind me yet. So it's just kind of a nice peaceful trip. Until I get back to this. Now, there's still more stuff I need to do to the car. I know there's some fasteners and that I need to put on for the vapor lines, and a few other things need to tighten up. There's a bolt underneath the battery tray, I remember, after I got the battery tray and the battery in, so I'll have to pull that stuff back out and just kind of go through everything a little bit more. But as of now, you can see I'm driving it, and it's a blast. So remember, guys and gals, do what you need to do to your cars to get out there and enjoy them. They're not made to be sitting in the garage hidden away from everybody. Let them see sunlight. That's going to do it for this episode. And again, for watching, and hopefully enough people like the content, and I'll be able to try to get more out. And I'll do some shorter videos of the different things I do to this car and a few other projects. And it's not going to solely be cars. Some of this stuff might be as simple as modifying a lawnmower or something like that, you know. We'll see. So, again, any tips or comments, throw them down in the comment section, and hit that subscribe button. Show a fellow you like the show here. So, but as of now, I'm gonna jump down on the freeway here and do what the title of the show is called and kick her down. And remember, here we go here. And remember, if your first parts order, here we go. If your first parts order exceeded the cost of what you purchased the car for, you just might be a kickdowner. Seems to be going pretty good. Already going over the speed limit. Or, nope, sorry, going exactly the speed limit. Alright, thanks again for watching. We'll catch you next time.